now to discuss this, Congressman Scott Perry, a Republican from Pennsylvania on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. Your side, Speaker Boehner, accusing the Democrats of politics on the issue of train safety. You have Democrats accusing the Republicans of playing partisanship on the issue of funding and safety here. Well, let's agree that perhaps the partisanship and the accusations about playing politics maybe not helping the cause. So let's try to move beyond that and ask some specific questions here. First of all, sir, positive train control. Do you agree with the NTSB that had positive train control been in place in this section of track along the Northeast Corridor, it might have saved lives? And are you, sir, supportive of efforts to get positive train control up and down the Northeast Corridor this year, no matter what it takes?
Could have saved lives and agreed that we should try and get positive train control installed. Would also say that the funding has been in place. That particular portion of the line makes about makes a profit of $500 million a year, and if they wanted to allocate those funds to positive train control, they could have, but that's a decision AMTRAK makes and how they spend money. So no matter how much money Congress allocates to agencies, if they choose not to spend it the way we want them to or hope they would, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. They are left to manage their agencies and make those decisions.
Democrats and Republicans on issues far beyond infrastructure have a very different view on where government taxpayer dollars should be spent, Congressman. That's no question. But you have also called it reprehensible and in incredibly poor taste and insulting that anyone at this point would talk about additional funding or funding at all as it relates to this train crash in Philadelphia. But the President himself, in remarks when he was talking just yesterday about the train crash, he talked about the need for more investment in infrastructure during his remarks on the train crash. What do you say to that?
I say to that, we all understand that more money needs to be spent on infrastructure, technology changes, prices go up, the price of labor, so on and so forth. But to tie it to the accident, well, we don't know the facts seem to indict a system or an agency before the proof is out there, before the facts are known, then that sounds wholly un-American. I mean, you got families that are grieving. They unexpectedly lost a loved one. And you got first responders that that should be held up, and instead we're talking about funding like it's a political issue. It seems like, to me, quite honestly, shameful and the wrong time. When you look at other issues, if you're going to talk about funding, then what about the $1 billion that AMTRAK wasted over the last decade on food service? Wait, what about that $1 billion? What about the fact that, hold on, what about the fact that when the Democrats controlled Congress and the presidency and spent all this money, raised taxes for infrastructure, if they thought this was so important, why didn't they require it to happen? So if you're going to talk about that, understand that you have a place in this too. But I just think that before the facts are out there, we can't assign the blame. The train was going twice the speed limit. It could have gone 80 miles an hour and you might have lost a drink, but going 102 miles an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone, what did you expect that was going to happen? I mean, poor decisions are poor decisions. 2,000 trains run up and down that track every single day. 200 million people ride on it every single year. And so for one incident where the track was inspected that morning and AMTRAK chose not to put automatic train control on that side of the track, there's not necessarily something wrong with the track. It may be wrong with decisions or an individual operator, but members of Congress don't necessarily have the purview of those decisions.
Congressman, you know, though, that poor decisions are not just poor decisions in this case, because positive train control is actually supposed to protect against the possibility of poor decisions, if that's what happened here. So again, that in and of itself is a side issue. So rather than argue about food service, rather get into the politics of this, what are you going to do now? It's May. They have to have positive train control in by the end of the year. What are you going to do to help get this in place?
So what we've done is we've passed a bill in the House. We're going to urge the Senate, obviously, to take it up. That will require the positive train control. The other thing we will do is urge the administration to get the FCC out of the way. It's his administration and his bureaucracy that is slowing the implementation of positive train control, not only in the Northeast Corridor, but around the country. The bureaucracy is part of the problem, and it's not the Congress's bureaucracy. This is the administration's. This is their bureaucracy. So if they want to be, assigning blame, they need to be willing to stand up and take their share of it, and that's where some of it lies.
Well, Congressman, we're hoping that both Congress and the executive and both parties can move beyond the assigning of blame.
I agree.
Figure out a way to get this done over the next several months. We appreciate your time being with us, Congressman Scott Perry.
Safety is paramount. Thank you very much.
Let's hope. All right, 37 minutes after.